This is a podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Judith.
And I'm Alina. We both lost babies to SIDS in winter 2021.
In the throes of grief, I reached out to a stranger on the internet and our friendship was born.
In the years since, we've been working hard to survive, rebuild, and navigate the continual challenges that have come our way, including divorce,
Job loss,
dating while bereaved,
moving multiple times,
health scares,
pregnancy and parenting a living child,
starting new jobs, and so much more.
We are tired.
Happily ever after is out of the question for us, but this podcast documents our journeys to happier ever after because we believe life after loss is worth living.
So join us as we laugh, cry until we laugh.
Welcome to As Long as I'm Living podcast.
We're so glad you're here.
Well, hi everybody. Surprise.
We're together.
We're together. This was a surprise for us too.
Let's tell them what happened.
While everybody joins, I will explain why I wound up in the DC area. I was supposed to be flying to Texas for work this week, and my flight, I had a connecting flight through DC that got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and it finally just got so delayed that I was like, okay, bye.
And she came to my house. She walked in. Actually, it was very Judith of you. You just walked into the house.
I didn't even knock.
But it was such a fun surprise because I didn't even know you were going to be in the area today.
I know. Well, I didn't either because the airport, it was IAD, and so I figured I was going to Iowa for a stopover. I don't know. I don't fly a lot, and turns out that's in Virginia, so I'm here.
No, she's here.
I haven't even told my family that I'm here.
I bet you're leaving in the morning in like 5 hours. So
Yeah. I'm leaving in like 5 hours.
But I'm glad you're here because what I called to tell you when
I called to say I'm coming to your house.
Was I called to tell you that we've been getting like a lot of messages of people who listened to this week's episode and wanted to talk about, there were two things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
On Instagram. The first thing we wanted to talk about was, the title of the podcast this week is Long Story Short, I Survived. And what we speak about is that when we meet people, either people that we're friends with or people that it's like we're going to know them for a very long time or even a short time, we like condense these years of trauma and sadness into like one very blasé sentence. Not because it's not painful for us, not because the loss isn't very large, because we don't want the person.
It can so easily derail a conversation.
Yes.
So this episode is talking about like depending on how close you are with the person you're talking to, how close you think you might get to the person you're talking to, where you are, like are you at the grocery store or are you in like a private place, how you tell the story of your loss. And so we each in the episode we tell like our different versions of the story.
But we want to hear
your
story, your version of the story. So, Alina, tell them what you said in the podcast.
Yeah.
About how you introduced your story.
Okay, so first of all, I'll say my like super, super, super tight Cliff Notes version of the story is I had a son. He died suddenly at 4 months old. And then I usually add, I don't have other living children. Because usually people are asking that in the context of like, what does my family look like? And that's it. That's all I say. I don't touch on all the other stuff that happened.
But then you say like, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, and then I go, I wait, and they usually like pause, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and then I'll say like, "I know it was horrible, but I'm doing okay. I have a good support system." Anyway, back to work topic XYZ.
As it's to like comfort them, like you don't want them to worry about you, so you say, "I have a good support system."
Yes, but then the slightly longer version, which is the like, I think I saw Tess also. Tyler's friend.
Hello,
Tess. Hi, Tess. The slightly longer version that I will tell sometimes if it's somebody that like I feel like they have to know the whole story because like my life doesn't make sense without the context of the story. They might say something like, if they say something like, "Oh, how is your husband dealing with the loss of your son?" or something, and then I have to acknowledge and explain that my husband is not actually my son's father. And so that story goes. When my son was 3 months old, my then husband came out as a transgender woman. And then 10 days later, our son died of SIDS. And then a month after that, we decided to separate. So I lost my husband and then my baby and then my wife in the span of a month.
It's too much.
It's too much. I know. And then there's usually a stunned silence, like just a... And then I go, I know. However bad you're imagining, it was 10 times worse or 1,000 times worse, but I'm doing okay. I have a good support system.
It's so bad. I forget, but then sometimes I tell other people your story.
Yeah,
no, I'm like, oh, you think my stuff is bad? Let me tell you about my friend Alina. Her stuff is so bad. And then people like give me stuff. So we really want to hear like you guys, like what is the story you give? Like give us your like trauma in one short sentence.
Yes, we want to hear your long story short.
Here's what your long story short
in the comments, and we'll read them too.
Yes.
So Judith, tell yours.
I always say, people say like, oh, is this your first? And then I always say like, because I'm pregnant, and then I say, no, I have a son and a daughter, but the son died. So I guess I just have a daughter at home. But she's great. She's so cute. She's great. She's
Subject
so cute.
change.
Yeah. And I'm okay. Like everything kind of worked out. Like it's okay. I'm okay. And then they're like this. I just kind of give like that info dump for a second. Or like I think I told the story of when I was at the doctor recently, and they were like, "Oh my God, baby number 3. How are the older ones?" And I was like, "Well, the first one's dead, so I think he's fine." So that's how I usually say it. I say I have a son and a daughter. My son died. My daughter's really cute. And then I just say, but I'm doing okay now.
Not that
it was
Ian's
a lot.
Cute, but like maybe
it was a lot. He was. I say it was a lot. I say it's been a journey, and then I like.
Hi,
By the way, your mom is here. She might not know that you're here.
Yeah, so for those of you who are just joining, I explained why I'm here, it was an accident. I was flying to Texas for work, and my layover was in the DC area, and then my flight got delayed 6 hours, so I'm here.
I'm so happy you're here.
I know. We haven't seen each other in person since August of last year, if you can believe it.
Yes. Yeah. It was also such a fun surprise because
I know.
I
was like, what time does your daughter go to bed? Like, I want to see her.
Yeah.
And she's so funny.
She's very funny.
It was so fun.
Okay, so tell us your little spiel of your trauma. Give us a one sentence. My baby died. You know, that was really cute.
The other thing that we talked about in the episode is that, and this is something that I feel like lost parents really struggle with in the beginning, and I know I did in the beginning, and I don't anymore, is sometimes I don't tell the story at all.
Oh.
Like...
Wait, I love this.
Okay.
I had a miscarriage. 4 weeks later, my dad died from a sudden illness and spent 3 months in the hospital. When I caught my breath the following year, my son was stillborn. But I'm doing okay.
But I'm doing okay! Exclamation point!
Or sometimes I say, I have a great therapist. Do you see that too?
But I'm doing okay. Like, even like your capitalization and the punctuation on that is so funny.
I totally know how to read that. I feel like what we spoke about also in the podcast is about how you say it so casually, right? So you say that you're like, but I'm okay. And then like you feel weird because you don't want to be like, in your heart, you're like, I mean, I'm not really okay. It's
right.
just it's so complicated. How much do you want to know? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
How deep am I?
She does have a great therapist.
Yeah, you do. I knew you would say that. Yeah, that's the only way we get by. Yeah, I love that you said that though.
Mom, did you mean to request to join the live? I can't imagine that you did that on purpose, but maybe you did.
It's a funny angle that we're at.
I know, it is a funny angle that we're at.
It's a long story, guys.
We have like a setup here. We had tech support, aka Judith's husband, setting us up here for this. Anyone else? So for those of you just joining, we're sharing our this week's episode of the podcast is called Long Story Short, I Survived, and we talk about like the versions of the story that we tell. Oh, my mom says, can you hear me? We cannot hear you. She did not request me to be a part of the live. I figured, but we're happy to have you here. What was I saying?
You were saying that we're telling the stories.
Oh yeah, so we're telling the stories.
Another version of the story that I tell is I lie. That's another version I tell, because people ask me how many kids I have, and I'll say 2, mm-hmm. and I'm pregnant with my 3rd, and then I'll say the first, and they'll be like, oh, how old are they? And I'll be like, the first is 3, the second is 2, and this one's baby. And they're like, oh my God.
You have your hands full.
You have your hands full. And I always say, you have no idea. Because
Angelina,
you have no idea.
Angelina says, in the beginning, my husband told a stranger we don't have kids, and I freaked out after. Do you feel like you felt guilty that you like didn't acknowledge?
It feels like a lie.
It does feel like a lie.
It feels like a lie. Yeah.
So I had what actually inspired us talking about this episode, or what inspired this topic, and I forget if we talked about this in the episode, but I recently went and got blood work, and I had a little, I actually posted about this on our stories. I had a little tattoo on my arm, a little temporary tattoo of an owl that a lost mom had given me, and I pretended like, the woman was like, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, it's for Mother's Day for my son, is what I said. So I didn't like say from my son. I said for my son, for Mother's Day for my son. And she said, oh, did he put it on you? And I said, yes. And then she said, how old is he? And I was like, he's 3.5. She was like, oh, it's so cute. And then that was it. And then I got to walk out of the blood, the blood draw area,
because
and
it's like,
pretend that I had a 3.5-year-old.
The alternative is exhausting.
The alternative is exhausting.
The alternative is exhausting. So you tell us, do you guys lie? Do you tell the truth? It's not even a lie. It's like, it's not a lie. It's the truth. It's a version of the truth.
Right.
I do have a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and I do.
Yeah, you do.
And I am tired. And my life is a
They
lie.
have no idea.
They have no idea how
much
tired
your
I am.
hands are full.
They have no idea and then one time I told the cab driver that, and he was like, oh, did you mean to do that back to back? And I wanted to be like, yeah, it's such a long story. Like, you don't even...
But think about it, first of all, how inappropriate is that question?
Very inappropriate.
Did you mean to have unprotected sex with your husband multiple times in a row? That's not a...
Well, a mix...
Alright, special smile. A mix of... Braca says a mix of both, depending on who. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes.
The question is, what do you tell the Trader Joe's people?
Yeah, like, what do you tell the Trader Joe's people when they say, is this your first?
But they might not say, is this your first? They might say, do you have kids?
Sure, whatever, yeah. No one's asking me, is this your first? Because I don't have a child, but...
wait, someone...
My body did 2 under 2. Oh, interesting.
Which isn't a lie. Your body did do 2 under 2.
I like it. Oh, my battery's dying. Hold on, guys.
No, everyone
I'm on it. I'm on it. Nope, hold on. We're going to do something crazy here. Is this going to work?
No. That wasn't going to work.
Why wouldn't it work? I'm just going to...
Okay, don't even ask what she's doing, guys. Don't ask.
This is a very good setup.
And then another thing we spoke about. Oh, that's amazing. Another thing that I find is the opposite, which I think is interesting, is do you need help?
Once you gotta take a picture of our setup.
Sometimes I find myself on the flip side, if I know the person that I'm speaking to has experienced some sort of loss, I find myself info dumping.
Yes.
The opposite way. It's like, you can't just get me normal. What would like a normal person say? Like, that's what I want to know.
Okay, so people are sharing things. Hold on.
We read that one.
Oh, okay. Depends on where and how long the interaction will be.
Agreed.
Yes, if the interaction is short, I'm like, cut it off. Like,
and I'll add one more component, which is it depends if you'll see this person again.
Yes.
It depends if you have to have a relationship with them, like an ongoing relationship.
All right. My first died during birth, and my wife just delivered our second baby. Short and bittersweet. Confusing to explain that to doctors. Well, your wife was pregnant, first pregnancy, but not first baby died. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is complicated for you guys. That is really hard because it's
my first
all the firsts and not the first. This is Avery's mom.
Second, short and bittersweet, confused. Wait, and then after you say that, here's my question: what is your next line? Do you say I'm doing okay, or I have a great therapist, or like how do you just let that linger and let the person respond? Like Alina and I were saying that we like sidetrack it. Yes. We like redirect.
Because when my son was 3 months old, my then husband came out to me as transgender. Then a week later, our son died suddenly of SIDS, and then a month after that, we decided to separate. So I lost my husband, and then my baby, and then my wife in the span of a month. I'm not kidding you. 100% of the time, they are speechless, and I have to say the next thing, and I say, however bad you're imagining, it was 10 times worse, but I'm doing okay now. I have a good support system. If it's in a pregnancy after loss context, I literally said, "This is why we are here." Yeah. Fair.
But what if it's just like a new friend, not
like if someone sees you and your wife or your child out in the park, what do they say? I want to see the person again. I go out of my way to say something like the dentist. It's in all caps at the top of my file.
Angelina, they fucking don't read
the files. Don't get me started on the dentist.
They don't read the files. They don't read the files. I don't know why they don't read the files, but these medical professionals don't read the files. And then my sister, who's a doctor, said, "Oh, well, if there's a sticky note, I'll read the sticky note." So I don't know how to get my information on a sticky note.
So I don't see people. That's very relatable, honestly.
I don't know how to get my don't talk about SIDS notes on a sticky note and not on the file. But apparently that's where the top secret information goes, on a sticky note.
You should just put your own sticky notes.
I should just bring my own sticky notes and like put this on the file. I don't think I'd say I'm okay because you're not okay. Yeah,
Fair.
totally get that. That makes sense. I think for a long time I would say that, but I think I am okay.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's not even that I am okay. It's like I don't want to go into it with you.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
It almost feels like the fastest way to get out of the conversation. And these are like acquaintances. These are like coworkers or whatever. Like, I don't want to get into it with them. There are some people that I talk about it with. I mean, obviously, very openly. And I have a podcast. I talk about it with you guys all the time. But with the randoms.
Well, I'll also say another thing, which is that I don't want anyone to think I'm uncomfortable talking about it. So it's a very delicate balance of portraying that I'm open about it and that I'm happy to talk about it, because I would be happy to talk about it. I just don't know if I can trust you yet with that feeling. You know, I don't know if I can trust you with that vulnerability. So I have to give enough information that it's like a crack in the window.
Yes.
Gauge their response.
Yes.
To that first crack. See if they invite me back for a second crack. And if you invite me back for that third crack, that second crack, I won't shut up about it. So, yeah. I guess I'd say, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah.
I actually think it's a lot is a good way. Yeah. I feel like I used to say that a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I also just remember like telling this story on dates too, and I didn't talk about the marriage stuff on dates, but I would talk about the baby on dates if it was somebody that like either it was funny because there were categories of dates where I knew I was never going to see them again, so I just like set it for the reaction, like for funsies, which probably sounds cruel, but also like my life is the sad one. Like they can deal with the crazy bereaved mom. Like they're getting a good story out of it. Like the guy who was like, "You don't have any secret children, do you?" And I was like, "Actually, I do have a son. He died."
You do have a secret job for funsies.
For funsies. So there was a category of date where I would I would just like dump it and like just for the entertainment factor, and then I'd go home and call you and we laugh about it. That was like maybe one or two people.
That person was calling their friend, being like, "You will not believe the date that I just had."
Absolutely. So let them have their story too.
Let them have their story.
And then the other category was people that I like had enough of a connection with that I like wanted to test the waters and see how they responded. And some people responded well, and some people responded not so hot. But even that was like really a lot.
You know what I was just thinking about? It's interesting now that I've been through this life a little bit. When other people tell me their long story short I survived, I like to think that my reaction is much better now. Like, I'm so much better at, like, when people drop their bombs on me, I like to think I open the door a crack more. Do you guys do that? Like, when random people will, like, say something, "Oh, this just happened. I got waxed on Friday." Mm-hmm. The person said, "Oh, is this your first?" I said, "No, my third. I had a first. He died the second." I gave my whole spiel. Okay, my daughter's really cute.
I have a great therapist.
I have a great therapist. My daughter's really cute. Whatever. I did all the things. And then later, I said, she was talking about her siblings. I said, "Oh, how many?" She said, "I come from a big family." I said, "How many siblings do you have?" She said, "There were 8, but the baby died." Oh. So then I said, "Oh, how old was the baby?" And she said, No, like my baby brother was 22. Oh. And then I was like, "Oh, not like a baby, like your baby brother." She was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Oh, what was his name?" And like I was able to ask questions. And then she was like, "Oh, well, a couple months after my brother died, my mom died." Okay, now this is all happening while I'm naked and she's waxing me. And she's after the mom. She said, "My mom died," and instead of being like silent or like just, I was like, "Oh, I bet she died of a broken heart." Like I was like so engaged and interested in her story, and like I kind of feel like maybe I wish that's how people would respond to me, not like shocked silence, not like, "Oh, that's so sad," but like, "Well, tell me about your brother Ricky. Show me a picture of your brother Ricky." I did see a picture of her brother Ricky
while you were spreading eagle on our table.
At some point when we wrapped up, I said I want to see a picture of Ricky. But like, I feel like I was able to like engage in the conversation, you know, in a way that was respectful, but also like, I would love if someone would give me the opportunity to talk about Aiden. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't. People don't say, "Well, tell me, wow, that must have been a lot on your body. Like, how did your body adjust? Or how is it I don't know, ask me a question, lean into it, and I promise you'll hear more.
I think I've learned over time there are so few people who can actually handle the not okay stuff that I just say I'm okay so I don't have to listen to the dumb comments people make.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I do think that we're probably missing the opportunity for some little bits of connection here and there by immediately heading it off with like but I'm doing okay, like whatever. But I also think that we're saving ourselves a lot of heartache and a lot of bullshit.
Mm-hmm. It hurts when you're like really vulnerable and open about it and the person doesn't react well. And then you're just sitting out there to dry. And I feel like over time you learn to protect yourself and be blasé as a way to protect yourself. Yeah. And to like have these funny little quips about a good therapist or how you're doing okay. Because it hurts. It really hurts.
I'll add one other time I told my story, which was when I was not in a cool blasé place, was when I told this story in a very early episode of the podcast, but I was coming from therapy. I was just coming from trauma therapy, and a woman cut me off on the street, or no, I guess, whatever. There was some kind of a traffic interaction, and I pulled over and parked my car. And this is so out of character for me. So out of character for me. Parked the car, got out of the car, and walked over to her and was like, my baby died, and he died suddenly, he died suddenly, and I'm coming from therapy, and I'm not okay, to this, like, complete and total stranger on the side of the road.
I would not call that telling a story.
Yeah, but I yelled it on the side of the road.
That woman deserved it.
She
I would
really
because she didn't. She didn't.
deserve it.
She didn't ask me. She was.
She didn't ask.
Crazy person, like, and I've done that too. Like I remember when I was on a flight.
When you just like vomited out.
Yeah, I was going from like your house home or wherever I was, and I was like, United was like, you're gonna have to pay for that bag because it was a carry-on, and I was like, I'm not paying for the bag, and they're like, you have to pay for the bag, and then I was like, you don't understand, my baby died.
Oh.
I can't pay for this bag.
See, now we're getting into a different category of story, which is where you use the dead baby for personal gain, which very, very, very rarely do we have the opportunity for that to happen.
If I had the opportunity to do it more, I'm sure I would. But I feel like it's not
actually
that
not
I'm
to use
using
it.
It feels like you're catching me at a moment when I'm so vulnerable.
Yes.
It's like
and
an act of
you can't help but vomit it out.
Yeah.
Yes. This happened when I was visiting a friend of mine who had a new baby pretty soon actually after Quinn died. So this was the lost mom who was having a subsequent child he's alive. And I was visiting the new baby and I lost my parking ticket and I vomited the whole story on this poor parking attendant guy. I was like, I'm so sorry I lost it. I'm very stressed out. I'm coming to visit my friend who just had a baby. Both of us had babies who died. We met in a support group and he was like, it's okay. It's okay.
Not that you're like using it. It's just that like you're catching me at a moment where like I can't handle the details of my own life and I just like put it out there.
Yeah.
Okay, but I want to hear from you guys.
Yes, the rest of you. So what we're talking about, we've had some turnover, and so I'm going to tell the premise of this live again, which is we're talking about how we tell the story of our losses. So this is this week's episode of the podcast is called Long Story Short, I Survived. And what is the, for lack of a better word, elevator pitch of your loss? Like when you have to like briefly explain it. Yeah, what is the elevator pitch of your loss? So Judith's is, do yours again really quick.
I just say I have 2 kids and I'm pregnant with my third, and I say the first died, the second is a
really
girl.
cute.
She's really cute.
And I have a great therapist.
I have a great therapist. I'll just say like, yeah, my first one, he died. My second one, she's great. She's so cute. She's good. Like, I'm okay. Oh, Dr. Mendoza. Hi.
And then mine is when my son was 3 months old, my then husband came out as a transgender woman, and then a week later our son died of SIDS, and then a month after that we decided to divorce, so I lost my husband and then my baby and then my wife in a span of a month.
2 boys, 1 here, 1 in the universe. I like that, the 1 in the universe. I like that kind of even more because not everyone like believes in heaven and hell, and I like the 1 in the universe. And I actually think that they are kind of like everywhere in the universe, you know? Dr. Denise, I just want to tell you, you've been killing it with the Instagram posts recently.
I know.
The stuff has been so good.
You guys, if you don't
know
follow
what's going on in your life,
if you don't follow Grief with Dr. Denise, you totally should.
And I want to connect you to someone, Stephanie.
Oh, yes.
Stephanie, I know you were up here earlier. If you're still here, Grief with Dr. Denise is the person I was telling you about. I will connect you guys after. But yes, you've been killing it. I don't know what's been inspiring this amazing writing, but it's been really thought-provoking. Okay, anyone else want to share their long story short?
Their lost elevator pitch?
I can't handle the details of my own life. Yeah, I can't. I can't hold the details.
Yeah.
2 boys, 1 universe.
One universe.
This is our first live since we've been on a break.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun to see you guys again. Fully don't bring it up, even though visibly pregnant. But if someone asks me if it's my first, I say, first one I hope to bring home. Oh, I like. First one, I like that response. One time when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was on vacation and someone was like, is this your first? And I said, it's my first girl. And that did not go well. They were like, your first girl, so you have boys? I was like, I had a son, he died. It was like a whole...
This is the problem. Our lives are no longer small talk friendly. They're not small talk friendly at all. Because what do you talk to somebody about in small talk? You say, what is your family look like?
Yeah,
how many kids do you have? Your husband. It's like, I don't have hobbies. I don't have kids. Like, I don't, and especially when I was, like, single after all of that, like, if they ask me a question, this whole calculation goes on in my head, too, because, like I was saying, like, my current husband is not my son's father, and so there's always this, like, awkward thing where I share that people know that I got married a year ago, but that I have a son who died 3 years ago, and then I feel like they're, like, doing the math, and they're like, oh! Okay, guys, we're okay. We're fine, everybody's fine. That was just the phone charger that was very precariously perched on the top of the thing. What do you need on the shirt?
I can't handle the details.
I can't handle the details of my life.
But you know what would be funny? And it's not funny at all. But you know, they have these maternity shirts that are like Mama and Me or My Baby, whatever. They should have one that says like first one I hope to bring home.
Oh, my life is not small talk friendly.
What is a very odd... Oh, my life is not small talk friendly. Once I had an Uber driver ask me if I had kids, and I said no, and he said, oh, you hate kids. That's a leap.
I had a dental hygienist ask if I had kids, and she had tools in my mouth, and so I chose the quick answer, which was no. And then she said, oh my God, it's so refreshing to meet somebody my age who doesn't have kids. Everyone around me is having kids, and they're like pressuring. My mom is pressuring me. Everybody's pressuring me to have kids. It's so refreshing. Thank you for giving me a breath of fresh air. And I was like, oh my God.
I really try very hard when I'm in like social settings and people start talking about like that. I really try to change the subject because I don't think it's a nice.
Seltzer or your seltzer?
It was mine, but you can have it. I don't think it's a nice topic of conversation because I think, well, I don't want to answer the questions, and I assume no one else wants to answer the question.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't like the conversation. I don't want to talk about it. I'm super weird about it.
I mean, even if your family is all intact, it's a little boring.
Yes. And you don't, I never know what people are going through, so.
Yeah.
I just don't want to bring it up. But, yeah.
My life is not.
Anyone else want to share their long story short? What is your one-line elevator pitch to your trauma? One-line elevator pitch.
I'm also now thinking of... hi, Mel.
Mel joined us.
I'm also now thinking of... we are together, Mel. So this is an accident for anybody who's just joining. I had a layover for a work flight that was coming through D.C., and it got delayed. And finally I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to come through the Judith. And I'm flying out tomorrow.
And Mel, I got your text, and yes, I would be happy to come. Just let me know what I can bring.
Yeah.
Sorry to my dead kid, but sometimes I don't want to talk to strangers. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I sometimes don't want to talk to strangers, too. I want to start a neighborhood baby group and no idea how to introduce my kids. Yeah. Actually, I have another friend who's been through something really similar. Rachel, she goes to a baby group, and she brought it up.
Rachel, are you still on this?
No, I don't know. Oh, yeah, Rachel was on here before.
Was there, yeah.
It was her birthday
You're talking about Ari's Rachel.
Ari's Rachel, yes. She shared her story, and she told me that what she was shocked about is that, 2 other moms in the group had losses of some sort.
What?
Yeah, of some sort, and that brought a lot of comfort to her. And I have another friend who told me... Rachel and I found out that our mutual friends were in this new mom baby group, whatever, And that I guess the topic of SIDS came up. The topic of SIDS came up in their like mom baby group or whatever, and they were like telling like this horror story of someone they know whose baby died of SIDS, and turns out that was me, and they were both talking about me.
Stop.
Yes, both of them separately were like, oh my god, I know this woman, the horrible thing happened, her baby died of SIDS, and someone's like, I know this one, the horrible thing happened, her baby died of SIDS. Yeah, it's so sad. Like they were talking about it, and then it turns out they were sharing the same story,
and it was
which was my story, me. Yes.
My God.
And I think everyone was kind of relieved in the group because they're like, oh, only one SIDS mom. I don't think I'm so popular. I just think that I'm a horror story, and then words get, like, I feel like people like they remember. Oh my god.
I'm so starstruck.
You're starstruck.
I mean, you're the official SIDS mom.
You are the official SIDS mom of West Los Angeles, and it is just such an honor. But that was so funny. I actually think that they did feel comforted to know that there was just one of us. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that room. That would be really bad.
Oh my god. Wait, you had a friend who was in the room and I
had my friend and then Rachel's friend. They were in the same mom's group.
Oh, I see.
And then I guess the topic of SIDS came up, and they
see.
were separately saying like, "Oh, I know this baby." And then Rachel's mom friend, whatever, was like, "Oh yeah, this is my friend's baby."
It was so horrible.
Yeah, it was so horrible. Someone I know. This happened to someone I know, and then it turns out that both of them were talking about me.
Wow.
I know. Great. I'm so glad they bonded over that. That must have been
official
really
SIDS
nice.
mom.
Must have been a nice, beautiful moment.
Should we do like SIDS mom merch? There's not a lot of us out there.
It's a real niche.
To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow. Yay!